That was a missed decisive strike. So before the first gen even pops.
And we do see Death Wish convicted of murder here, as you can see by the score to the final set.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Vigo's Court preseason game. On the docket here, we have Psycho Mantis here. I will be your main judge this evening. We have our fellow caster over here, Counselor, SSB Kid.
How's it going? I'm really excited to be here. Day number 2 of the preseason weekend. Day number 3, I believe. Yeah, we had some matches on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And this one's going to be a doozy. Who do we have going up?
AZL versus Team 6. Two very strong teams. AZL new to Vigo's Court, but 6, a returning name. A very dominant force last season. Maybe coming with some different rosters this season, so it might be interesting to see how they perform compared to last season. They were a favorite last season for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest thing, the coolest thing to say the very least is how, last season, considered one of the heavy favorites, to kind of take it all. And just from season 2 to the preseason, right? And as we get rolling into season 3, how much more stacked the talent is this time around to where, there's so many other teams that it could also be the favorite, right? Which just goes to show how big Vigo's is kind of, growing, right?
Especially in the worldwide sectors, I'd like to refer to as we have a lot of European teams joining this season comparatively to last season. Definitely going to be very interesting to see these names that are very popular around the comp community, how they handle Vigo's Court, alongside very historically Vigo's teams like CDM also returning. So it'll be interesting to see all these dream matchups that we never thought we were going to be able to see actually happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just goes to show how much comp DVD in general is just kind of the bridges are slowly closing, which is really, really nice to see, as the game just grows more and more as an esport. So something I'm really excited to see, as someone who is still relatively new to the scene and is trying to get to know every team, get to know what killers they prefer playing, statistically and whatnot. I'm actually curious to see who 6 will end up deciding to send out first, or who AZL will end up deciding to send out first. So it should be a good time. I know yesterday we saw a pretty crazy mix. We saw a Slinger, we saw Doctor, we saw a Nurse, and we saw Blight, which was super cool to see, just the variety, right? So I'm curious to see what we'll see today.
There's definitely several different trains of thought you can approach as a team when showing up in preseason. There's the we want to show what we can do and represent ourselves point of view, where you can just come out with like your strongest main, uh, uh, and that'll like show what you strength at. Or you could try to keep things in the pocket. You could try test things. You can have players test their killers, and maybe you want to see how they would handle a live game environment. This is a way to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, the biggest thing is that, the killers reset once the main season starts. So any teams that aren't too sure on who to send out, knowing, the teams that are doing preseason, doing the main season, if they understand, like, we have the luxury of kind of sending out whoever right now to kind of get a feel for it. Maybe someone's practicing a blight, maybe someone's picking up nurse, or et cetera, et cetera. They have that time right now to kind of just showcase it and see how it does, like you said, in a live situation. That way, for the actual season, they can make a better judgment call when it, quote unquote, really matters, right? It matters right now, but, in that situation, in the main season, that's another big deal too, so.
Absolutely everything matters, and one thing that definitely matters is what maps we're going to be playing on this evening. As I do believe we have, starting off Father Campbell's Chapel, I believe.
Yeah, Father Campbell's is going to be interesting. So what can you tell us about the map currently for Father Campbell's?
I can tell you that this is a 8,960 square. I'm sorry, I'm horrible at math. I don't know what kind of that meters.
I got you.
So that ain't miles, I'll tell you that. Hook map minimum of 6 with a maximum of 11. This is AZL's home map in the Crotus Pen Asylum realm. Definitely one of my favorite maps, I'd say. What do you feel about this map?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Anything around the 8,000 to 9,000, is relatively medium, right? Towards the slightly smaller side. This one's way closer to 9, so it's a little bit closer, with a hook minimum of 6 and max of 11. Not as many hooks as some of the other maps, but regardless, it has a nice main building. You have the ability to kind of just, you have the ability to go up. You have those double floors, so whenever survivors are trying to chase killers, you have to be really careful if you're a killer. Like, if you remember a certain survivor to have balance, you have to understand that as soon as they go up there, most of the time it might be a good idea to kind of just break chase and go for someone else. So
absolutely. And I love Father Campbell's personally, just because of the variety of 3 and 4 gens you can get on this map. Especially if you can get a good, strong 3 gen in Carnival, it feels so good to play that as a killer. I love a 3 gen in Carnival.
For sure, just because there's like one pallet, there's 1 or 2 pallets in the Carnival. There's usually a tile, there's usually like a jungle gym, or TNL right outside, towards main building. And there's maybe 1 or 2 pallets there as well. So, once you burn those resources, there's not much to go to, right? So that's kind of the beauty of, of dealing with the 3 gen there, right? As opposed to having the 3 gen more towards the 6 side, towards Shack. So that'll be, we'll have to see how the RNG gods decide to bless or curse one of these teams today.
Especially with that hook right in the middle of the Carnival, you get somebody on that bad boy, you're going to be able to proxy the gens and look at the hook the entire time.
Yeah, for sure. And that's like the thing we saw yesterday. We were in Azeroth's resting place, and we saw, somewhere towards the choke point, the middle of the map, we saw a gen, and right to the north of it, a hook. And we saw 4 gens get low-key soft proxied for like a minute and a half, and it didn't even matter. So it was kind of crazy to see. So how those hook placements just affect overall the pace of the game, the tempo of the game, especially if the killer can get a very quick down, right? We usually expect to see corrupt pretty much from every killer. So the closer you get, the more time you have corrupt up with a hook, that's like, it's golden for you for sure. So
on that note, I think we will be loading into our first trial, so let's go over some rules before we begin here. We're going to go over first the scoring for Survivor. Every generator is worth points, obviously. The first gen you complete will be worth 1 point, the second will be 1, third will be second, fourth will also be 2, and the last gen will be worth 3 points. Points are based on escapes in Vigo's court, of course. If you get escape 1, that's 1 point. If you get 2 escapes, that is 2 points. A third escape will be 4 points, and a fourth escape will be 2 points. We also have bonus scoring events for Vigo's court here. If you escape after losing 1 or less hook stage, that is equal to 1 point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important to get all those points for sure. On the killer side, we'll find out a little bit more about that later. But just getting these points for survivors are huge, right? Especially because if I'm not mistaken, there are more killer points available than survivors. So you have to make sure you maximize as many points as you can, especially in terms of the escapes. The escapes are going to be truly where you're going to get a lot of mileage in terms of your points. So we'll have to see how it ends up turning out for the survivors today.
Absolutely, and that's the back and forth you have as a survivor team. You got to debate: is it worth playing this risky for our fresh hook, or do we have to keep them stealth and hidden just to make sure we get that fresh escape? As we do load into our first map of the Father's Trample, we do see a nerd. Very interesting choice here, Father Campbell's Chapel. The Nerds can rarely be powerful on a 3 or 4 gen, especially by Carnival, like we mentioned before.
Yeah, for sure. And again, those hills, we saw it earlier. We saw it yesterday as well. We saw how once you get on top, once you get an extra floor or two, right, you get on top of the chapel or you get on top of the hill, you get a lot of visibility. And right there, we do get our first survivor. We get our first chase. We're going to have to see how the nurse is going to have to deal with this.
Very good job here by our Nia, dodging the blinks here. We'll be taking chase towards Carnival into our Corrupt here, probably trying to make sure that they're keeping the Nurse away from the gens. Nurse probably not going to bite, going to turn around and check their gens.
Yeah, and here comes the blinks once again, just trying to get information. And there you go. We get the first hit. It's going to be huge. We're going to have to see, can they end this chase rather quickly, right? And here comes the second blink. No. Okay, we only saw one blink, sadly, right there.
Survivors playing very patiently, though. They're not really trying to expose themselves too much here. They're just trying to safely waste as much time as they can. Hits the Pocos through the pallet.
Yeah, that was crazy. Rather unfortunate, right? We see those trades happen a lot, and it's just really unfortunate to say the very least. We do finally get one gen pop, and we get this hook for sure. And yeah, I think we are going to see the deadlock, right? Counting the number of white gens that we see. For those of you who don't know, whenever a generator gets completed with deadlock, the next generator with the most progress gets blocked. So it's another form of slowdown for the killer. So we're going to have to see are we going to see any ruin or pop in play? We'll have to see right now. Here comes the generator break. Yeah, and there you go with the smoke, right? You get a different you get a bigger puff of smoke whenever Pop Goes to Weasel is in play, and that's exactly what we saw right there. So, that's
a for the people play possibly on the survivor side.
Yeah, that was very interesting, right? And honestly, the For the People meta has been such a, it's low-key been growing a little bit. More survivor teams are starting to favor that perk a little bit more. Honestly, it's really good because you can get those instant heals whenever, you have a lot of distance between the killer. And at this point, because the nurse was across the map from the hook, it's going to take a while for the nurse to find the Zarina who's actually broken now, who can't get healed at all, as they find the next hit on top of the Nancy. And let's see what happens right here.
Yeah, especially in this Rancor meta that you mentioned earlier, that we've been seeing a lot of Rancor in Vigo's core a lot lately. For the People is a good counter to that.
Yeah, so for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And here comes the gen. You can tell that, the nurse is coming back and checking to make sure to see how the generator progress is doing. And nice flashlight right there, trying to stop the nurse from blinking, but it doesn't even matter. You're going to make it to that lunge, and you get that hit. And so the Nia's kind of put on notice. And nice dead hard once again. One of the biggest counters to nurse gameplay, right, is just dead harding at the very last second, understanding the positioning where you need to be. So...
yeah, absolutely. As we only have one hook here for the nurse so far, but it looks like we're going to be quickly approaching the second. Both sides not really looking either way. You go either way right now. Survivors are giving up hook states, but they're still completing some gen progress at the same time. It's just going to go either way right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And there you go. Oh, that's the Nancy injured. That's not going to be very good at all. And going to get the down. That's one of the dangers of approaching the hook or trying to set up for hook rescues when you're injured, right? Because at this point, it's exactly what they're doing. Yeah, exactly. You know, the nurse took the words right out of my mouth. Whenever you do have an injured survivor try to go for a hook and you get the down, there's really no reason to pick them up immediately, right? You kind of wait, you kind of gauge to see if anybody else is around, but we're going to see them pick up the Nancy rather quickly as 2 generators pop right there. And yeah, Corrupt's going to be up, and I think that is our deadlock on top of the main building and towards the 8 o'clock range for sure.
Let's get the blink back though. Fronting the unhook will get the tag. We'll get a 1-for-1 here. Very interesting that 2 gens on the other side of the map are deadlocked, which means there might be some progress on those gens. So this might be close to an end game than we think it might be.
Yeah, for sure, and that's a really scary situation to be in, right? You know, I feel like we just started the match, and you know, so far the survivors have been playing this game rather quickly, honestly. So you know, AZL has been keeping the tempo up relatively quickly. So we're gonna have to see how you know the nurse on 6's side is gonna end up reacting.
Absolutely, it would be very interesting to see if one of these gens that was deadlocked before is maybe approaching popping soon. If there is, that'd be huge for these survivors. Oh, we are correct. It is.
Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna get a lot of mileage out of this pop specifically right here. You know, one of the biggest things, you know, that you need to figure out is picking your poison, right? Which gens do I pop while I have pop goes to Weasel, right? Because you have to understand where maybe the 3 gen is, if it's still there. You have to understand the positioning of the survivors, where you might have people on hooks. And that gen seemed like the best play so far. And there we go. We get another down. We get a down on the Zarina finally. I think we did see the 4 of the people right there, you know, seeing the broken status effect.
Fortunately, there's Arena there, maybe trying to parkour over the box. Unfortunately, not able to do that in Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, for sure. And once again, gonna go back and pressure these gens. Did they touch it? Yeah, that's gonna be another 25% regression on that generator. That's gonna be really scary. So.
Yeah, we are closely approaching the end game. We only know 3 of the nurse's perks. It'd be very interesting to know if there's an end game package at all, or if it's another mystery perk altogether.
Yeah, for sure. You know, that's the beauty, right? Is, you know, there's like a nice rotation of perks on all these killers, right? So there's going to be a lot of different variety, you know, even in the comp setting where there's definitely like those 16 perks or so that are very, very solid, right? Like that's pretty much the only perks that you run, and being able to kind of mix it up between those, that's where it becomes a guess. A nice hit right there, finally does get the hit. However, the Nia is bringing this nurse into the territory where there are no gens, so this is essentially quote unquote, you know, not really a place where, you know, the nurse can defend. Then there you go, you see the nurse teleporting back, right, with her blinks, very wisely returning to stage, to the middle of the map.
Absolutely, trying to milk these survivors for as many hooks as they possibly can before they get these gens done. This still could go either way. We could see a 4 out, we could see a 4K, but with that gen popping, I definitely think we're going to probably see some escapes. It's just a matter of how many they're going to get.
Yeah, for sure. As we get another down on that Nia, you know, and, you know, we'll talk about some of the perk loadouts, you know, a little bit later. But knowing that the Nia was the one with the Dead Hard, knowing you can fully commit to these blinks on the Claudette, on the Zarina, on the Nancy, knowing that Dead Hard's not going to come into play last second. As we finally do get a down Claudette, we get our first sacrifice survivor away to the lobby. We got 3 more, but 1 gen left. And as soon as I say that, all the gens get finally done, and we're gonna have to see if there's any end game perks as a mystery, right? We do see 3 perks come into play. We saw the corrupt, we saw the deadlock, and we see the pop consistently. And there goes, I believe that might be the no way out as well.
Yeah, so should buy our nurse enough time to be able to get at least 1 more hook, maybe camp them out or go for an aggressive play if they want to. The choice is up to the nurse, and they need to make the decision on how risky they want to play this.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a tough situation as well for the survivors, right? You get a down, you get another down. We have 2 people injured, and we found someone injured, but oh my goodness, what a pallet stun right there to create some distance. However, you do get your blinks back, and we're gonna have to see how fast you get to the other survivor. And there was the firecracker play, again trying to limit the nurse's visibility. And I think the firecrackers also stop her from blinking too, right?
believe if you time it correctly, it would. But one thing is for certain, we can tell here with that that gate so far out, all the way by Shack. I think this is probably going to be a 2-out, as probably No Way Out is ending fairly soon if it hasn't already.
Yeah, it's definitely coming to a close for sure. And around this time, yeah, like you said, just across map, that's exactly where the nurse is trying to go, trying to set up to stop the gate from being opened. And yeah, as you can see it, if you don't see a survivor on the gates, but you see a red light, that means someone has been touching it as of late. And oh my goodness, that was a balance play if I'm not mistaken. Very good awareness to kind of just jump into the stairs of the basement just to get that speed boost so the nurse would whiff her lunge. And here, we should get it down pretty soon if you're the nurse. And oh my goodness, what are you hitting, right?
Yeah, this Nancy here is doing a really good job of juking, wasting time. We'll die in the corner. We might see the other 2 survivors open the other gate across the map and just leave now. Take what they can get.
I think that's exactly what we're going to see. Yeah, we're going to get a 2-out right there. Plenty of hook stages that we ended up getting, but we might see some bonuses kind of come around for the survivors. So, and what a great start so far. Six doing a really good job kind of setting tempo up for the killer side, but AZL, being resilient, getting all the gens done, making some pretty good plays right there. Like that play right there from the Nancy was really, really strong just because of how you were able to kind of just, make that quick balance play, that quick decision making. That's kind of the beauty, of comp DVD for sure. So
absolutely, and that is the end of our first trial. We go back here, we do see a score after the first round of AZL with 13, Team 6 with 19. So definitely lead here for 6 that they can build off of, but it's, anybody's game still. It's only the first trial. As we will load back in after this to another game on Father Campbell's Chapel, I believe. This time with AZL should be killing this upcoming time, because that was 6 killing last time.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, it was honestly a great start. It was a great, first opportunity for, AZL to kind of take a peek at who 6 was going to send out first, and they decided to send out a very strong character, very strong killer within the nurse. Probably, best character in the game, right? It's pretty safe to say at this point, right?
If you have a killer that literally just ignores the rules and logic of the game, I would say that's pretty good,
Yeah.
Blight is closest second, though. Blight, we have to give some credit on Blight's name. He can do some crazy things as well.
Yeah, just like killers that are able to get from point A to point B, no matter the size of the map, is going to be pretty huge. Nurse with the blinks, just being able to go through things, just being able to kind of close the gaps. No matter if you have a sprint burster, a balance, a dead hard, or a lithe on your side, you're able to kind of just charge up a blink and then minimize that distance for sure. So we saw a lot of space closing out, right, from 6's killer side, right? But however, AZL, proving to kind of set tempo a little bit too much right there with the gen pops. You commit to one survivor for 45, 60 seconds, and these survivors can punish you so much for it, popping gens 1, 2, back and forth, consistently. We were in situations where we saw, when, the killer finally got a down, we saw about, two gens pop consistently. It happened twice, if I'm not mistaken. So that's, that's really scary to deal with for sure. So can't waste any more time than you need to in, Dead by Daylight for sure.
Absolutely, and it'll be very interesting to see what AZL chooses to do. Will they answer back here with the nurse of their own, or will they do something else? It's a very interesting choice. Nurse is definitely a strong pick for any map, let alone Father Campbell's Chapel, but I've seen a lot of Blights do work here. I've seen some Twins action. Maybe we could see something like that. Me, I can't go all entire Vigo stream without mentioning Twins. You know me. I'm like Q with Cenobite. I gotta mention it at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. But regardless, though, we have been seeing some pretty great games. But yeah, I think we saw some killer again. Like we said earlier, we saw a lot of killer variety yesterday. I'm not too sure about Friday. I'm curious to see if we're gonna see the same right now, or are we gonna go through the gauntlet of like S tier killers back and forth, right? The thing is, if I'm not mistaken, once you do use a killer, you're unable to use them for the rest of the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, right?
during the regular season, that is correct. However, this is a preseason where nothing counts towards your killer usages. You can use whatever you want. This is more of your choice of how you want to handle the preseason games, kind of like a test. Kind of get everybody's feet wet, get everything going, get in the swing of things, get back everything going. But one thing I want to remember, you mentioned the great variety we had. We had an amazing game that I highly recommend anybody here who didn't get to watch it. Where I believe that was that CDM versus Deathwish yesterday? What was it versus?
It was Deathwish versus I can't remember. I would have to go back and look real quick.
I forget the name of the team that they played.
Question mark. It was question mark.
Yes, question mark. And they brought out the Doctor, and I believe they 4K'd. On Temple of Purgation. Was it 4K? On Temple of Purgation?
It might have been it was a 3 or 4. It was a very strong showing of the Doctor for sure. Honestly, on both sides, there were certain tiles on Temple that Deathwish was able to kind of take advantage of for sure. But regardless, though, we did see a lot of we saw some great Doctor play right there, closing the lead that Deathwish had. Deathwish had like a 20-something point lead on question mark before that Doctor game, and once everything was said and done at the end of that game, it was a 1-point lead for Deathwish. So Deathwish's pick onto with the Blight was kind of like we need to make sure we win this game, right? So we just got to close it out, and they ended up going with the Blight. So but regardless, the variety, we mentioned it yesterday. I mentioned it yesterday with Q. Having all this knowledge on Nurse, on Blight, on Oni, like on all these, like top tier killers, A tier killers. I mean, once you start going down and down the tier list, you start to sometimes not have as much familiarity against those killers, and that's when you see insane plays like the Doctor, or you see we saw Deathslinger come out of Dark and Deathwish yesterday as well, and that was a great showing too. So it's just that curveball, that X factor, the surprise factor that you gotta pull out sometimes. That's what's gonna clutch you some games.
Absolutely. Now, like I said, personally, I would love to see maybe a Cenobite or a Twins for some variety here. What would you like to see?
I would definitely like to see. Honestly, we didn't see any Huntress gameplay yesterday. I would love to see some Huntress for sure, but some Cenobite, some Twins gameplay. Twins, notorious for being able to just slow the game down to however they see fit, right? They can control the pace of the game so well, especially with Victor having that mobility to get around, get downs, But however, the Cenobite as well, kind of, limiting the mobility of survivors with the chains, right? So it can be very difficult for them to deal with as well. Again, it all comes down to how much do these guys think the other team has knowledge on the killers that they want to go for, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things I love about Cenobite is he has one thing that only technically, I guess, 2 other killers have in the game, and that's passive slowdown in their ability, in the way that Cenobite, somebody has to go for the box at some point. The Pig has traps that slow the game down, and sometimes if you have really bad RNG, will end the game pretty quickly. And then you have the Onryo with the very less effective, but the tape system, which is a sort of a pseudo slowdown in a way.
It's a pseudo slowdown, but it's definitely minimal for sure compared to pig trap RNG and the chain hunt that the Cenobite can provide for sure. Again, having to take time to go for the box, or else you consistently get interrupted once the chains do finally start activating. So you got to be really careful. That's kind of the beauty of some of these killers, right? Is like no 2 killers, except maybe the Stealth killers, are created equal, right? Like they all have a lot of different ways that their powers work, right? So it'll be interesting to see, to say the very least.
Yeah, that's the dynamic, especially on Cenobite, like we were mentioning. You get somebody on a hook, you slug another person. Now somebody's gonna have to come for that pickup, and somebody else is gonna have to go grab the box. So nobody's doing gens at that point. These kind of things occur sometimes, and that's the power of a passive slowdown like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we might be getting ready to get started relatively soon. I'm excited to see it for sure. So we do see the killer for 6's side. I apologize for not being able to kind of, explain their names very well, but we will see, 6's killer come out as the Nia right now, right? So this will be interesting to say the very least. But yeah, regardless, I'm relatively excited to say the very least.
I do believe that is Arkin killing. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name here for Azazel. Now we will see the crew of 6 on Survivor. We have Tumas, Joy, Oya, and Exotic, I believe, all surviving here.
Yeah, it'll be really exciting to see, how, we saw a relatively good start from both sides. A 6-point lead can be made up very quickly. Now it's time for 6 to kind of show, if I'm not mistaken, 6 to show what they can do as a survivors. How quickly. It honestly comes down to how quickly both either side is able to set the pacing of the match, right? How fast they can get a gen pop, or on the killer side, how fast can you get that down before your corrupt timer ends, right?
Absolutely. It's just all going to be about what Azazel does here to set the tempo for the rest of the game here. They can go over the top with an ST to mirror them, and they can just put the pressure on, try to 4K, make up that lead. You can play safe. There's lots of different things that could happen right here. Definitely very interesting to choose what they do, as we will be going back into Father Campbell's one more time before we swipe us with the map. We will be loading in now, I believe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get started for sure. We do have some more housekeeping things, and Mantis is gonna kind of show us exactly what we need to talk about, right?
Yep, we will go back into our rules, as this time we are going to talk about the killer scoring rules. In Vigo's court, the first hook on a survivor is worth 2 points. The second will be worth 2 as well, and the third hook will be worth 3 points. Progressions is worth 1 less point. As far as hooks and progressions go.
Yeah, for
4K
sure.
will equal 2 points. 7th progression, it'll be 1 point, as well as 8th for bonus. There are exceptions, such as the endgame collapse, which will be equal to the hook plus progressions, and a Mori, which will be equal to the adjacent hook, and bleed outs, of course, are worth no points. So don't slug for too long. I know if you're twins man like me, you love slugging, but you got to pick them up at some point and put them on the hook.
Yeah, for sure. That kind of just encourages, the way we have our killer rules set up. It kind of encourages, to strive for consistently getting hooks, right? So it should be, really good time to see it. Again, we'll have to see what kind of killer we do get. Certain killers, do tend to, gain a little bit more from slugging, gain a little bit more from just being aggressive and getting some hooks very, very, very quickly. As we transition into our next match, for sure, I wonder who we will be getting, and it looks like it's gonna be a Huntress.
Your wish.
I got my wish. I'm really excited. Huntress having that range, right? Just in case anybody wants to know, the real way to practice Huntress gameplay, this is obviously me trolling, is to play Call of Duty, play with Tomahawks exclusively, right? So that's totally a joke, I promise. But nice drop right there early to create some distance. Yeah, because, if you do get caught trying to vault the window, Huntress, what they're going to look for is for you locking yourself into animations so they can get free hatchets. So the more distance you have, the more leeway you actually have to, create those animations, right? Get the window vaults, and et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely, as they are locked in those animations, obviously they will be hit, and you can't dodge during the animation, so it's just the free hit. That's what Huntress as usual will do, but you never know. There's lots of different things you can do with Huntress, like that, where you can just throw over certain loops and objects and hit people when they're not prepared for it.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly something we talked about yesterday when we saw Death Wish with the Death Slinger, is how certain tiles and certain loops are a little bit lower. So, people with range, killers with range attacks can, just ignore the height, right? As we see the quick reload, as we see the basement hook. Great start right now so far for Arkin, I believe. Again, if we mess up your name, we're terribly sorry. But so far, great start. Although I will say having the gens here on the corrupt side of the gens can be, kind of stressful to deal with. However, it looks like this might be the 3-gen that we're going to look to defend as the game progresses on, right?
Yeah, the Huntress is going for a risky trade-off here where they're saying, I'm going to let you do all those gens that are uncorrupted. I don't care about them. I'm going to proxy this basement hook because there's no way you're not going to be able to get this guy out without at least trading a survivor for it at a minimum.
Yeah, for sure. And we saw, you know, at the very edge on the other side of Chapel, close to Carnival, we do see the white generator. We do see the Deadlock come into play, which, you know, Corrupt and Deadlock kind of, you know, some of the more standard perks, like the more common perks we see on killers, I think, nowadays, right?
Absolutely, but this Huntress needs to be careful not to waste all our hatchets. Does get the interruption and down. This is going to be huge. They're out of hatchets, though. I don't think they're going to be able to get it. Oh, they wasted one too many hatchets. Oh, they don't get the Pokos at the window.
Yeah, the way the Huntress was setting up right with the last hatchet, trying to body block right there, knowing the borrow time was probably going to come into play. So you had to get the hatchet. You get a lot less cooldown. So was trying to go for that last swing. Ended up missing, unfortunately. And the Nancy is going to also get picked up. So oh, great stuff right there with the fake. You know, we do need to be careful, right? You know, again, the Huntress will benefit the most once you lock yourself into certain animations like vaulting windows, dropping pallets, etc., right? And we're going to see a quick trip to the basement. Once again, like you said, we need to make sure that, you know, these trades happen, right? That we don't get an unhook from basement for free. And that's exactly what this Huntress is looking to do.
Absolutely. Very good dodges by our survivors, as both survivors were on the basement steps and they both dodged 2 hatchets. That was an incredible work here by our survivors. One thing to note, we do see the add-ons here for the Huntress, the Oak Haft and Babushka, the comp staple. One thing you always need to keep in mind is if the Huntress is face camping and they play it properly, it's impossible to get the hook by yourself. You need to go for the 2-man, otherwise you'll get grabbed, which is why you saw both survivors running to the basement there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, for those of you who don't know what the add-ons do, the Babushka ends up reducing the wind-up time, right? So the time between her grunt / wind-up to when she can throw gets reduced by 12%. And when it comes to the Oak Haft, it reduces the cooldown duration in between hatchet throws. So you can get hatchet relatively quickly, you know. And we saw that earlier on the Ace, right? We saw some really quick hatchets for sure. So, you know, those are going to be some things that they're going to be looking for. However, like you said, if it's the comp staple, then, you know, everybody runs it. So they know exactly, you know, they're able to respect, you know, those add-ons for sure, right?
Get the hatchet before they get into the locker. Goes through the BT hit. No Shack pallet to be able to stall. I think they're going to go down here. Oh! Yeah,
great stuff right there. Gets the tunnel right there. And we're going to see potentially another down. You have to be careful if you're this Nancy. Careful with... Yeah, exactly. Great fake right there. One of the biggest things, right, you know, on lower level Huntresses that, you know, tend to work at high level as well is getting those vault fakes, getting those pallet fakes to, you know, get them to either double back or commit to a hatchet, right? Especially in that narrow, you know, corridor, right? It becomes very difficult for you to actually be able to dodge the Huntress.
Absolutely.
And we're going to see... Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, yeah.
I'll just say the way this is looking, this Huntress seems to be throwing Yeti coolers at the survivors the way they're hitting.
Yeah, they're just ginormous hitboxes, right? That's just the way it's working. And we're going to see Exotic finally go down. A very quick down. You know, we did see, you know, there was a lot of time wasted in terms of the survivor side. You know, just the way they were able to defend basement hook was really good on their part for sure. And however, I don't think we've seen the Nia at all game. You know, it's pretty safe to say that they're probably the one that has been hammering gens left and right. However, once again, like we said earlier, we saw, you know, the risky play from the Huntress, right? Not approaching the non-corrupted side of generators. And it looks like it might be working out because I think this is the only generator that has progress on the 3-gen side of the map.
So I bet this Nia's probably been stealthing. Oh, never. As I say that, they just run through Shack trying to take a hit. They might be able to wiggle free with this if this... Oh, I think they get it. I think he's going to wiggle now. If he had swung right away, I think he would have still made the hook. But because he hesitated and couldn't decide what to do, they get the wiggle free. And no hatchets. They're going to have to be forced to reload. It's going to allow these survivors to make a ton of distance as we approach the final generator left in the game.
Yeah, and we see the Deadlock once again come into play. You know, seeing how heavily the gen has progressed, it's safe to say that, you know, this is a 3-gen that the Huntress will be looking to defend relatively with ease. And it's also difficult because it's a 3-gen with Shack in the middle, with Shack/basement in the middle, right? So it becomes very difficult for you to actually be able to break through. But that's exactly what, you know, the survivors are going to be looking to do as we get the down on the Nancy once again. I believe we didn't see them get actually hooked. I could be wrong on that, actually. Yeah, actually, no. Yeah, I'm actually correct about that. We saw them get the down and actually was forced to leave them slugged, and they ended up getting picked up anyway. So we're going to see Joy on their first hook stage finally.
Yeah, the Huntress made the right decision. They're looking to try to bring the Nancy closer to their 3-gen, but unfortunately no hook within range to be able to walk to. Settles for the hook a lot closer. Gets a nice hit by the bonfire. The Survivor's taking chase down by Carnival, the smart thing to do as there is no gens down here. Be very interesting to see if Huntress commits. No, they do not.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah, that's the beauty, right? It's like knowing that you have the 3-gen on the side of the map where you know the Huntress will be looking to not really go interact with as much as possible, just because if you overcommit to one chase on the inside in the zone where there are no generators, a generator can pop very, very quickly. With the way we had 3 survivors, kind of in rotation in and out of basement hooks, and we still saw 4 generators pop as fast as they did, you know that you can't let the survivors rest for a second.
For a little bit of a risky shot here. Should be able to walk down our Nancy here.
Yeah, great stuff right there. Does the quick turn around the barrel, right? The Huntress winds up for the hatchet, thinking they're gonna go straight for pallet. They do the nice little turn to the side, still gets the hook, the hatchet anyways, and gonna get the quick reload and kind of back to this, cat and mouse chase, right?
I wonder, interesting how Nancy exposed herself running out here to get their Huntress's attention. I think maybe there's a gen close to being popped and they're purposely taking the aggro. Maybe there's a DS in play still.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Nope.
No, not at all. And that's the thing. That's the beauty as well, is the psychological play as well behind, D-Strike, behind all of these other, second chance perks, as, I would like to call them, to kind of just close some distance or create some distance and create some time. And that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see the gen finally pop. We've been looking to kind of defend this generator that's right here, and I don't think Arkin really went to that side of Shack to check that gen, and that's exactly how they're gonna get punished with that gen finally being done. Looking to sort of proxy right here, try to take as much advantage out of this second hook stage as possible, and we are gonna see, I believe that was the no way out once again. So no Noed will be in play today. We will see the no way out though.
Absolutely. Like I said, I think that Nancy did that intentionally just to make sure that the Huntress wouldn't go back to check that gen, just to buy them enough time to be able to pop it. We should see the camp out to death here, as no way out with as many stacks as it has. You should be able to camp out. Huntress is probably going to try to go get another survivor after this. It'll be interesting to see how prepped these gates will be and if they'll be able to make an escape or not.
Yeah, for sure. And and I think another reason why the Nancy also decided to take aggro, because if we recall correctly, the Nia hasn't been hooked a single time. For the Nia to escape, if I'm not mistaken, will be a plentiful amount of points for the survivor side, right?
See, that Nia is hiding somewhere in a locker or in a random spot that you would never check because they cannot be found right now.
Yeah, just the stealth ability on their end has just been textbook, Although we, like we said earlier, yeah, there's a Claudette. Yeah, still can't find this Nia. That's crazy.
It's very interesting to see if what the Nia chooses to do here. You might want to pressure the gate, but you also don't want to expose yourself at the same time. It might be worth it even just to hide for hatch at this point. Wait, nope. Is that them on the gate?
Oh man, that might be them on the gate actually. And there's gonna be the gate opening. This is gonna be a 2-out, man.
Very strong here by these survivors to be able to salvage a 2-out out of that situation, especially with that 3-gen, how strong it was. That could have been really nasty. We might not have even gotten that end game. But the survivors persevered through all the basement hooks, through the 3-gens, and into the exit gates.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the risk that you mentioned earlier that the killer needed to take by completely ignoring the uncorrupted side of generators on the other side of the map, and it actually worked out really well for the survivors and not actually the killer. We do get a 2-out. I'm pretty sure we do get a healthy amount of points as well, considering the escape that we ended up seeing on 0 hooks. So that's crazy 2-out. Regardless, great gameplay from both sides. GG's to both sides. Again, survivors kind of setting tempo, never letting up, even with 3 people in and out of basement hooks or hook stages, to say the very least. We saw a lot of progress, right? I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that the Nia was doing so much in terms of generator progress. So kudos to them for sure, for not being found pretty much all game, right?
Absolutely, and I do think the Huntress for AZL made the right decision in camping out that basement hook. It's just unfortunate they weren't able to get some of the hatchets on the basement steps. I think if they were able to get some of those, if they would have had more hatchets available to go for the snowball, like when that ace was able to make it out of shack, because they didn't have an additional hatchet to chase them down with. And that's the thing with Huntress. You only get 5, you know, unless you're bringing in a bandana on, you only get 5. So you got to make them count. Can't waste them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing, right? It's just like, you know, Huntresses with like thousands of hours in the game, you know, they're able to maximize every round of 5 hatchets that they're able to get in the comp setting. But regardless, again, like we said, the Survivor's able to kind of just set tempo very, very much from the start of the game. You know, understanding, well, I know you're probably gonna, you know, camp my teammate, so we're gonna punish you by, you know, popping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gens, you know. One of them, the last one, essentially right from underneath their nose, right? Unable to kind of actually go back and look for that gen, go defend the last gen as well. So, because I'm pretty sure we did see a false sense of security, you know, with the deadlock coming in on that gen in that tile that we saw earlier. We saw the deadlock pop there. So it makes it very easy for the Huntress to say, you know what? I know the other gens are probably safe, so I just need to continue to defend this gen. And little did we know that one gen, you know, towards the bottom, towards 6 side, it, you know, it ended up popping. So
absolutely, and now we will rotate both realm maps, and we will rotate killer sides. I mean, so we will not rotate killer sides. We will stay with AZL on killer, but we will be going to family residence, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Family residence in the Yamoka estate as we approach the second half of this match. And what can you tell us about this map specifically?
Family residence, we have a minimum of 8 hooks with a maximum of 12. This is Six's home map, of course, with 9,984 meters of space on the map. Now, this is an interesting map. I'm personally not a fan of Yamoka because I hate survivors that could hide in bushes. I just hate bushes. I don't want to deal with them. I don't like it's just my eyes sometimes. You got the right cosmetic on, I can't see you in the bush. It drives me up a wall. It's the same thing. I love Dead Dog. But that's the same reason I sometimes struggle on that map sometimes too, because the you know. But I personally like actually the other Yamoka estate map a little bit more personally. Sanctum, I believe.
Gotcha. Yeah, sounds about right. But you know what, chat? Can we get a nice little hashtag bushcheck OP for Mantis, right? But however, it will be nice to see. It will be nice to see how, you know, in the family residence with the main building at the top side of the map, right? We're gonna have to see how they're able to deal with these tiles. Shack normally around the 7 or 8 side of the map, right towards the bottom, you know, which is very, very, you know, consistent, you know, throughout, you know, this through family residence, right? In terms of, you know, because we do get, you know, the different tile variations, but those 2 buildings pretty much stay intact, you know, 100% of the time, right?
Very interesting to see how Six handles this as their home map, because there's a lot of killers that are really gonna struggle on some of these loops on this map. Like, you know, you have the gazebos, as I like to call them, the main building, like you mentioned. You know, there's just some really strong survivor tiles that they can, you know, if they know what they're doing with, can really do a lot of work on.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, the two tiles that I can think of right now is around the 11 o'clock, the top left side of the map, and somewhere around 2 o'clock on the right side of the map towards the middle. We see these, you know, these tiles with like the stone that's very low, right? It does have the option to vault, and again, killers with range or killers that are able to just like nullify that, you know, because if you see a pallet drop there, that's a really long, you know, structure that you can loop around, you know, optimally and get a lot of mileage out of. But if we see like a Huntress mirror, or if we see something like Slinger who can just shoot above it, it's going to be really good for the killers for sure. So we'll have to see, you know, what is the pick here, knowing that we are on family residence, right? You know, at 9,984 square meters, you know, it's somewhere towards the medium to medium large size of maps. We're going to have to see if, you know, we're going to opt for a killer with more mobility to get from point A to point B quickly, right?
Yeah, that's the debate. Do you want to go with a killer here that has good mobility, or do you want a good killer with anti-loop potential? Because, you know, anti-loop could do you just as good on some of these tiles, but not all of them. You know, like if you're looping main, like if you're clown, maybe main would be rough for you. But in gazebo, you can use your bottles a little bit easier, I think, to be able to prevent some of those window vaults and times and stuff like that a little bit easier. So it's an interesting dynamic on this map. Plus, you get a lot of strong 3 and 4 gens, sometimes by main, if I remember correctly, usually on this map.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the biggest thing, right? Is like knowing what killers to pick for what situations. You know, with the exception of maybe the S tier killers, you know, some of the, you know, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier killers, they have strengths, but they also have plenty of weaknesses as well on certain maps. So at this point, it's going to be a situation of what are you willing to give up, right? Are you willing to give up mobility per se, you know, in terms of covering, you know, counter looping, like you said? Clown in main building, you know, will probably choose to just ignore whatever's going on there. But like you said, you know, the bottles being able to kind of cover, you know, with the cloud, cover most of like gazebo, for example, like you said, will be a really good situation in terms of slowing down the mobility from the survivor's end, right? So it'll be really interesting to see.
Absolutely. As we are having our survivors load into the lobby now, we're getting everything set up. I definitely think you can see a lot of different variety of killers on this map. I personally think you can see a lot of Onis, you can see Cenobite again. But one thing I do remember about this map is there is some very strong totem spawns on this map. There is some like bushes and things where this spawns, and by main where you have to check every nook and cranny, or you might miss a totem. You know, you very well can miss it.
Yeah, it can be really scary, yeah, for sure. And you know, everybody that has played Dead by Daylight has been in a situation where you get a really, you know, very, you know, the killer gets a favorable totem spawn, and it's a ruin, or it's a Devour Hope, or it's maybe an endgame, you know, like Noed, and you're unable to find it. You're like struggling the entire game to look for it, and you know, it could be potentially a way for the killer to gain a lot of mileage in the comp setting, like you said. Sometimes you have to check every nook and cranny, so it can be really difficult for sure.
And we will see for killing for AZL here, Ember on the killer. We'll be interesting to see what they come out with. Same survivors as last trial, I do believe, but you should see how Ember, the different killer this time, handles this map.
Yeah, and that, you know, that gives me, you know, that gives me an idea of maybe they feel more comfortable on this map with a specific killer. Sometimes you got to make these plays, right? Switch out your killer main, switch out who you have to kind of throw the curveball, throw the surprise factor at the survivors, and hopefully we will be getting started soon. But regardless, it should be a really good time because, you know, as we get to the second half of the map with once again a 6-point lead, you know, it's not very much, right? Like, again, we saw yesterday, I believe we saw Deathwish go up as far as 20 something points. So, you know, 6 is definitely doable if you're AZL.
Definitely something to... Interesting that 6 has a 6-point lead going into trial number 3, as I just noticed that.
Yeah, I noticed it, and I didn't want to say it, but you know what?
I had to.
No, it's okay. Yeah, you're totally good. So for sure.
As we go in, we will mention some more rules before we go into the third trial, I do believe.
Yeah, got to get some housekeeping done. That's right, Mantis. Yeah, so let us know. Let the people know what we got to know.
Some bans and builds right now. So the ban killer perks are obviously Coup de Grace, Haunted Ground, Starstruck, Dead Man Switch, Pain Residence, Lethal Pursuer with the combo of Deadlock and No-Ed banned, as well as No Way Out and No-Ed, or Need as I like to see it spelled. Ban Survivor perks are Prove Thyself, Built to Last, Boon Totems, Boil Over with no combo of Iron Will and Lucky Break, Off the Record and Lucky Break. So if you want to bring your Lucky Break, you can't combo with it. You can't be a completely stealth survivor out there. General bans and restrictions for Survivor items are at yellow and below. One of each item, no duplicate characters, no forward whites, no lockers, no duplicate perks except for BT. One perk each for every other perk, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. As we get started with the second half of the match, you know, one of the things to notice is, like you said, ban perks except for BT. You can have 2 of them. You know, the biggest thing with that being is, you know, if you get the BT person out of the game as fast as possible, then that pretty much gives you the option to just tunnel for the rest of the game, right? So it'll be really interesting to see, you know, how the 2 BT play will work out. It's worked out so well, but today for this second half of the map, starting off on Family Residence, we're gonna go to the tippy top of the S tiers, right? We're gonna get the nurse going on right now.
Yeah, I like how we talk about the dynamics on this match with anti-loop potential and mobility, and we just go to the killer, just ignores all the rules.
Once again, yeah, just ignoring all the rules though. However,
do we have an AFK? Okay, never mind. Pausing for a second there. Maybe checking something. We do find Luckily find our Nia, though, out in the open here, though, with that blink.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, like we talked about earlier, you know, the Nia being able to stealth out pretty much most of the game. This time around being the first person found out. So we're going to have to see how they end up dealing with. Oh, there's an issue for sure, I believe. So I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, there's a interesting point tech. I don't know what the attempt that was. Maybe some try some mind games. I don't know what this could be.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to get some... Yeah, we're going to keep going, though. Keep chugging along. Gets down on the Nia. Gets, you know, the hit on the Michaela. So, and there you go. Gets 2 downs immediately. And gets picked up rather quickly, right? That's kind of the beauty, right? You know, that was a very quick pickup for sure, to say the very least. Could have been some, you know, maybe maybe we're going to live forever. Or maybe some botany, you know, just regardless. A little bit of buff to your healing speed as we get the first hook once again.
Again, though, wasting no time. Nia wants to make up for the last game, wants to get their chases in, I think.
Yeah, as we get that pallet drop, you know, to kind of create some distance. And we're going to go back to the hook as we see a hit on the Bill. Are we going to get a hit right here? Yes, we're going to get the borrowed time once again. So 2Mass is going to be the one with the BT, one of the 2 survivors. So we're going to have to see that really aggressive, you know, rescue off of the hook with the BT. You know, it's a safe assumption, to say the very least, that we might see some deliverance come out. Maybe if we do see the Bill get hooked later on in the game. Note, we get the decisive strike right there. You know, gotta be careful on who you're picking up, you know, prolonging this chase just a little bit longer, knowing now for sure that it's going to be out of play for the rest of the match. And honestly, eating a DS at 4 gens hurts a lot less than eating a DS at 1 gen, to say the very least.
For eating DS as Nurse almost never feels bad. You're very quickly right back on the survivor, wasting no time, as opposed to most M1 killers, where eating a DS can be the difference between a 4K and a 2K very easily.
Yeah, this is very true, like you say. Like, oh, that was
Denied!
crazy. That was crazy. We both saw that, right? We saw the Nurse trying to go for the generator break. Maybe it was a pop, but it gets denied by their very own perks, by the deadlock. However, once again, you can rest easy knowing that that's the most progressed generator for just a little bit, right? And you see them come back a little bit, waiting for the deadlock to go away so they can get this quick generator break in. I'm not sure if it's the pop or not. We'll have to see real quick.
Yeah, it does look like a pop. So that was very, very interesting. That counter, you know, your own perks working against you sometimes. Oh, I think an accidental blink onto Bill, though, works out for the Nurse.
Yeah, for sure, gonna get another hit, but gonna get the rescue on the Michaela and gets the down, and is probably gonna try to get this hit on the Nancy. Are we gonna see the Nurse get a little bit greedy and try to go for the down? No, gonna get the immediate death right here on the Michaela. And man, look at that health state change from the Bill side. Those are some very quick heals. I'm inclined to say that it's, you know, that we have some speed buffs to, you know, maybe we have a perk that kind of helps in terms of healing speeds, right?
Yeah, definitely one of the many healing perks in play in there. Is it self-care? Is it botany? Is it something else? Who knows? But it's definitely powerful, that's for sure. As we do manage to find this Bill again. This Nurse is keeping up with the pressure, but these survivors are not sweating it too much, as they are keeping going with the gens.
Yeah, once again, like we said earlier, you know, if you spend too much time on one survivor, the other survivors will definitely spend some time getting gens done as much as possible. Yeah, you saw earlier, you saw they were going to try to go for the basement play, but ended up deciding to not do so. But that's the beauty, right? You have to be careful in terms of, yeah, it's because the Nurse remembered, hey, they dropped this pallet and I didn't get to break it. So, you know, the least time wasted hooking, the better, right? You have to make sure as killer, you maximize your time as much as possible, or else you're going to see 1, 2, 3 gens pop like we saw earlier, back at down to 2 gens remaining. So we're going to go back to the hook to see if there's anybody around, but no, nice proxy right here. Gonna try to, you know, make sure the survivors aren't around, right? Getting caught in positionings.
Absolutely. This Nurse just kind of looks around, trying to use this middle area as a choke point, trying to spot the survivors coming in for the save. As I don't think they're gonna get it unless they send 2, so I think they'll probably be committing to gens rather than that.
Yeah, maybe it looks like they'll be looking to pop one of the gens before coming back down here. that gen right here on the right side of Bill, right, towards the 8/9 o'clock side, looks like it's pretty well off. However, the gen around the 4 o'clock side, directly across from it, we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see what the generator progress is on that. But as we see the generator towards top side of the map finally go, we see the deadlock once again on this gen. So we have to make sure, you know, that's a good way to know, hey, I have my 3 gen on this side of the map, but I know that I don't have to worry too much and know that this is the generator that's progressed the most, right?
Blink onto that Nia there. Gets a nice injury here. Probably going to come back to the hook, try to prevent a safe unhook. As both survivors are injured, they cannot go for the rescue unless they are going to go for a crazy risky play here.
Yeah, for sure. You know, sometimes you got to make those big brain plays, right, for them to work. Sometimes that's kind of how you know, put the sway of things in your favor once again. But, you know, we saw the nurse, again, the change in positioning, go towards the 3 or 4 o'clock side of the map, checking that gen to make sure it wasn't progressed either, because that's the one that's furthest away, although it's still a relatively good 3 gen for nurse, right? Just being able to just consistently go from point A to point B, right? We do see, you know, the notification right there, but I think the nurse is going to opt to stay here and try to get this sacrifice going.
Yeah, we did also notice a heal immediately before that notification. Probably inner healing resilience, or what do you call it? Inner healing from the locker from the Nancy, maybe. This nurse needs to be careful of it. There isn't somebody stealthing around here.
Yeah, for sure. We do see, yeah, and there we go. We finally get the sacrifice to end, you know, Bill's time in the trial away to the lobby. And once again, gotta defend this 3 gen, right? Yeah, look at that. They're definitely out here trying to get this done. However, we do see the Nia going towards the top side of the map, knowing that there's nothing on this side. Are we gonna see a blink on the Nia? Are we gonna see the dead hard come out? No, we are not. We're gonna see the Nia go down. However, get the quick pickup maybe? Yeah, absolutely. You know, sometimes you decide to wait, you decide to kind of slug, and then maybe the generator pops and you get an adrenaline play or something, you know, happen, and it becomes a really unfortunate situation. So gonna keep it safe, gonna get this first hook stage onto the Nia. I'm not sure if they've been able to get any unhooks, so, you know, who knows, maybe we see a deli play come out, but gonna get this pop on the gen, gonna bring it down 25%. And wow, immediate rescue, right? Sort of. And there is the status effect change, like we said earlier. People just love the perk now, right? People are really loving FTP now, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of clutch plays you can make with it, like we mentioned earlier. You know, it's definitely an interesting new meta perk. I don't think it was, when it came out, it wasn't really used very much when it was unbanned immediately. I think recently it's gotten a uptick, much like Rancor in the meta.
Yeah, for sure. So that's, I mean, like you said, big plays for sure. The Nancy can kind of go away for just a little bit, and maybe the Nia is the person we're going to see kind of take aggro towards this gen, trying to get it finished. However, if they aren't able to kind of get consistent progress on this gen, we might see kind of a rough stalemate, to say the very least. So, and there you go. Yeah, it's the Nia that's trying to come pressure this gen, but once again gets hit anyways. And here comes the chase. We didn't see a dead heart earlier. Are we going to see something? Oh, gonna get the hit right there. We did see the slight hop off of the stairs. Maybe it was a balanced play of sorts, but we're not gonna see it create any distance as we get Nia onto the second hook phase, putting her right next to this gen that they're really hell-bent on trying to finish, right?
So it's going to be interesting to see how these survivors choose to play, if they're going to stealth, go for a gate or a hatch play, but never mind, as we do find the Nancy.
We finally do find the Nancy, and that was a swing and a miss. I'm not really too sure if that was a dead hard or not. I couldn't tell, but regardless, you got to be careful, right? You know, you lose line of sight with Nurse. That's your opportunity to gain some distance, switch to different tiles, right? And that's exactly how you're supposed to counter Nurse, right? Is making sure you block all visibility from her as much as possible. And you see her kind of coming back, not really sure where this Nancy has gone to. And oh my God, it's just the way you were able to fake out the Nurse to the point where you were able to get that rescue onto the Nia. That was crazy, to say the least.
Maybe we had a Nancy maybe with hiding in one of the bushes, perhaps. I don't know if Iron Will was in play, but that's definitely a play you can make if you have Iron Will on a map like this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Iron Will is going to be huge for sure. You know, for those of you who don't know, you know, don't make any noises whenever you're injured, and as we get that, try to get the flashlight stall right there to avoid the blink, but ends up getting hit anyways, and we might get a basement hook right here.
Yeah, right next to where Hatch is going to spawn, assuming they brought Hatch and Main. I think this could be really lights out for our killer here. Knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, first hook stage onto the Nancy finally. Joy gonna take the first hook of their match in this second half. And once again, gonna be smart and kind of go to this side of the map. Really smart resourcefulness. Oh my goodness. We see the down. Yeah, we see the down finally happen, but we saw the nurse was going to try to use this pop and decided to wait and say, hey, maybe I'm gonna go check on that other gen, and ended up getting popped in their face immediately after. So was able to get the down anyways, going to wait out for any potential deliverance right here. As we go to the second stage, the Nancy knows the nurse knows that Nancy won't be able to take herself off the hook. So now you come back and you come pick up this Nia, unless you get unbreakable in your face or something like that, right?
That's some big brain plays here by these survivors and the killers alike. Survivors sacrificing their life just to guarantee the points from the gen. I like that move there. If you can get the gen, why not get it? And that was the last second got there. That was so close on that gen. It'd be interesting to know if that survivor had any spine chill or any kind of gen speed bonus that made it clutch just for them to get it. Because if they had spine chill or something and they only got it because they had spine chill, that would have been crazy.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to see how that ends up working out at the end of the game. So, but here comes the pickup finally on this Nia. Gonna get some extra points. Oh my goodness! Was that the power struggle play?
It indeed was. There's no other person alive left to slam that pallet except for the survivor.
Oh my god! Was that a power struggle? Was that power struggle flip flop? I believe.
It had to have been. You can't get enough wiggle progress that quick.
Oh my god! What a slap in the face. If you can get some distance to Shaq potentially to get this hatch, it might be curtains, but no. It's not about winning, it's about sending a message, and the message has been sent with that pallet slam to the face, right?
So this reminded me, I wanted to send Q a new catchphrase for him. Since we are in a place where power struggle is legal, I want to slap him with the P now instead of the D.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. But however, great stuff to the nurse for getting the 4K. All generators get completed, so we do see some consolation points for the survivors for finally finishing all of the gens. However, how much does it really affect in the long run? We do see a 53-42 lead for AZL.
Absolutely. So we have a 9-point lead here. So when we do math, 11-point lead for AZL here going into the final trial. So it is anybody's game still. Obviously, AZL looking good here. But if 6 has a very strong killer performance here, they could easily take this back,
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's worth noting that we did see, the lead was from 6's side going into the second half. Getting this 9-point lead was definitely crucial for AZL for, just regardless, what a strong showing, right? And it's going to come down to the last match for sure. We're going to see a game numero 4. We're going to see a game number 4 come along our way. And however, are we going to go back to the top of the S tier killers? Maybe a Blight, maybe an Oni, who knows, right?
Yeah, obviously the nurse has already been used for 6, so you can't use that again, but you have Blight. Blight has the mobility down, but there's a lot of objects that are both very good and very bad for Blight on this map. There's lots of things he could hug tech off of, and there's tons of things he's just gonna slide straight off of on this map that I've had hit me with in the past, so it's gonna be interesting. You also have the Rogue Spirit play could happen here as well. I would not be surprised to see a Spirit here. There's a lot of grass on this map, and if you're really good at being able to be observant with the sound and the sights of those little blades of grass moving, you can use that to your advantage.
Yeah, for sure. So, it's going to definitely be whatever, the final killer feels comfortable picking. Whoever 6 decides to send this killer, it's just going to come up to a comfort pick. Again, it is our home map. So we're gonna have to see how they end up faring in terms of killers. So, again, 9-point lead, not out of the realm of possibilities for either side, right? You do have to be careful though, because any one miscalculation, any misplay could result in the match going out of your favor. So as we wait to kind of see, the survivors come in and the killer come into the lobby, we're going to get started hopefully relatively soon. But so far, the matches have been pretty great. We saw 2 pretty good nurse plays. We saw a great huntress play for sure, to say the very least. So
absolutely, very smart. I would say even more than their mechanics, big brain plays of recognizing when to proxy camp and when to ignore gens. Very, very well there by the Huntress.
Yeah, for sure. So again, for those of you tuning in for the first time, this is Vigo's Court. We are seeing AZL versus 6. This is the preseason, and currently we're approaching the last game of the 4 matches that we have today for you guys. We see a 9-point lead for AZL, and a change from last season, as I was told. We have 2 maps. We have home side of them. Whoever the home team is gets to play on the home side of the map for the first 2 games, and we see a map switch to the other team's home map for the second half of the match. And so far, everybody has been, there's a lot of positive feedback in terms of, how the maps work, the map selections, right? Getting some map variety is honestly good for both sides. It kind of evens up the playing field just a little bit more, because you do get experience on your home map for every single match, right? As opposed to only when you're a home team, right? So that's a little bit different than, the situation before. So it's actually really nice to see, because again, it gives you the opportunity to kind of throw some curveballs at the other team if you're on your home map, right?
Absolutely. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how that new system works this season. But there's also something I want to ask you, Kid, because I haven't heard your opinion on this. We have the new chapter approaching, and as we've heard recently, rumors in the past, was it going to be licenses and not? But the simple question is, if it was licensed, what would you want to see?
Man, honestly, license-wise, I'm not really too sure, because I feel like we've seen pretty much, we've seen so many licensed killers that, there's killers where you're like, yeah, that's not gonna happen, and then it happens, right? And you're just like, okay, at this point, someone's asked me this before as well, and I really don't know too well exactly like who I would want in terms of license. So I know because of certain licensing issues, we probably won't see like Jason, we probably won't see something like that in terms of Dead by Daylight, but it would be really nice to see regardless, right? So, but I would say, if there weren't any conflicts of interest, if there wasn't anything like that, if there wasn't a special game called Friday the 13th that was released a while back, I would love to see Jason in the game. But, what about you though? That's the biggest thing too, right? What do you think?
There's so many things I'd love to have in the game that they don't already have that I've seen. Obviously, I'm for the meme. I'd be down for Shaggy. Not a whole entire chapter dedicated to Scooby-Doo, but just Shaggy in the game, just as a solo standalone. I'd be okay with it. People say the game's it's too goofy for the game. It doesn't fit in. We got survivors wearing swimsuits.
We got Ashley Williams in the game.
We got shirtless
Ruby.
survivors. We the memes. We got Chicken Clown. It's over for as far as like
we have giant bunny head Legion in the game. It's honestly probably my favorite skin. If I see that skin on Legion, I'm just like, all right, this person's a god, because literally like it's just so big and it's so flamboyant, and you can see them a mile away in even the darkest maps, right? So it's really nice to say the least, though. Like the cosmetic variety is just definitely cool.
It's not technically a license, but there's one thing I've always wanted to see in the game, and that would be a Medusa-style Gorgon killer that I thought would be interesting. Kind of how, how you look at Ghostface, you have to look at him to prevent you from getting exposed. Maybe some kind of thing where if your camera pans, and if you look at the killer for any reason, something happens. Like the goal is that you don't want to look at the killer. Like it's the complete opposite of Ghostface in that way, where maybe like if you're looking at the killer on your screen, you move slower or something or anything like that, kind of like the getting turned to stone kind of deal or anything like that. It would be very interesting trying to loop a killer that you can't look at. which is it's crazy. It's a crazy concept to say the very least, because you're always looking behind you, right? Always looking behind you.
So that would be crazy to say the very least for sure. So, however, we'll be seeing the killer finally come into the lobby. I'm not really too sure who we're going to see though. Again, it's going to be a good time regardless. It's been so much fun. The games have been great, and it'll be a really nice way to close out the first match of the day. So.
Absolutely, as we have our survivors loading into the lobby now, getting everything set up. Very interesting to see who comes out on top, what kind of plays we're going to make, what kind of build this killer is going to come out with. There's so many things you can think about here. The killer's got to think, how many points do I have to get here to win? Can I even afford to bring an end-game package at all? Do I have to 4K them before all the gens are done? There's lots of things you got to think about, and lots of decisions to be made.
Yeah, for sure. A certain person, lurking in the shadows as well. To kind of go back to, the who do we want to see in terms of licensed killers, an alien or predator style killer would also be very cool to say the least. We saw alien in Mortal Kombat. Why can't we see them in Dead by Daylight, right?
If we get Predator and Arnold Schwarzenegger comes in as a survivor, I might have to stop playing killer. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh man, look, people didn't stop playing the game when we heard groovy all the time. I think we're in a good place. That I don't think any more picks could get any lower than that, honestly.
Also, I was saying it'd be even more interesting because I want to play as Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, imagine you get sacrificed. Imagine you get sacrificed and you just hear "I'll be back."
Yeah,
it'd be crazy. It'd be crazy to say the least, for
the
sure.
grunts of pain and be like, "Yo,
Yahoo, Yahoo!"
I'd love to
that would
see
be crazy to say the least. Yes. Get to the chopper instead of the chopper. It's the exit gates. There you go. So. Yeah, it'll be crazy. So we're just having some fun here, guys.
Speaking of Chopper, when Resident Evil Chapter came out, they were mentioning there was going to be new forms of escape, and I thought there was going to be on Raccoon City Police Department. The exit gate was going to be open up, and there'd be like a helicopter out there or something.
That would be super. That would have been so cool, honestly. Just like the way they recreated, RPD was pretty great to say the very least. Just like the attention to detail is pretty nice for the most part. I know it's not 100%. If I'm not mistaken, it's not 100% accurate, but I know, my fellow Resident Evil fans that I have as friends, the first time going to the map was like, oh my god, it's this room, it's this room, it's this room. And they just start, just like spewing facts, and I'm like, we love to see the details, to say the very least. So, but
Absolutely.
we do have everybody in the lobby. Finally, we will be getting started hopefully very soon, and it's going to be a great time for sure. We see Ember, we see Arkin finally once again, and we do see once again, if I'm not mistaken, we see a different killer on Six's side, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I'm not properly sure how to pronounce their name, so we'll call them Jay for now, but definitely gonna be interesting to see what they come out to bring with here in this last trial here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We talked about it once again. It's a map that, can potentially cause some problems if you don't have the right killers to deal with the main building. And we do have some loops that can pose a problem if you don't have a range or an ability that makes you kind of nullify these like short but very long tiles, especially when the pallet gets thrown. And, we have to see someone that can get from point A to point B relatively quickly. We saw the nurse, right? The nurse was very strong in terms of getting around the map. And, in terms of the nurse did a really good job of not really approaching top side of the map, right? Like not really getting too many interactions. Didn't even go into main building. They kind of knew whatever gen is in main building will probably go, and that's totally okay. And they were able to kind of just come back and make everything, work out in the end. So, so it'll be curious to see who we get going on. And as we do get going to the last game, we have yet more housekeeping things to talk about, right? We get a chance to talk about it pretty soon right now. I know Mantis got this, right?
Yep, we're going over some point penalties and rules now here.
Yeah, as we get all the offerings, we see all of the tarps, we see the cut coin as we get started.
Our penalties here for Vigo's court, of course. Wheels auto reset for loading in with the cross-play off as 5 points. Using a band killer is worth 5 points. Also, we have optional resets situations. If you use a banned item or perk add-on, it's 5 points. Using an exhausted killer is 10. And opening a chest is worth 5 points. No looting for items or anything of the sort. There will be no resets during certain situations. Bringing 2 of the same survivors. No 4 device unlockers. No harassing the ref. No bringing the wrong offering killer. And obviously, no bringing the wrong survivor.
Yeah, for sure. As we transition into the last match, we have 6, if I'm not mistaken, 6 killing yet once again on their home map as we get the first look at the killer, and it'll be the Spirit. Again, we talked about it earlier, just a killer that has mobility, can get from point A to point B rather quickly, and with the power that Spirit has, definitely doable for sure.
Absolutely. Like we mentioned earlier, there's tons of blades of grass on this map. It's literally all over the place. So it's just a field ground for tracking for the Spirit, as we do see a quick injure onto our Claudette here.
Yeah, absolutely. And here comes the phase, and here we go, and gets the out of phase into the down relatively quickly. And again, the beauty with Spirit, pre-nerf, probably one of the, probably number 2 or number 1 in terms of killer based on their strengths, being able to start and end chases very quickly. Although even with the nerfs, you're still able to get, those chases in relatively quickly.
Absolutely, as we saw, that hook was so quickly into the game. Not even a gen is probably even close to being popped once they had that hook, but might see one popping shortly. The Spirit's doing a good job trying to pressuring these survivors. We do see those gens regressing as they let go, so there is a ruin in play. We do see an unhook, but a For the People play does keep the chase going.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we see again the For the People. We saw, the patience right there from Juvilio, from getting, waiting for the For the People to trigger, and then gets the down onto the Nancy, and finally wants to get another down yet again on the Claudette. And earlier, towards, Shaq's side of the map, we did see some a generator being worked on, and someone let it go. We see some sparks come up, which lets us know it's the ruin. And once again, with the white generator popping up yet again, we have another deadlock. So we have a ruin and deadlock combo with the corrupt intervention as well. So
3 perks revealed, still 1 unknown. Be interesting to see how this Spirit capitalizes. They have this second hook here on the survivor. It'd be very interesting to see if they choose the proxy and try to confirm a stage kill early, or if they're going to try to go for more split pressure.
Yeah, for sure. And already Claudette onto the second phase of hooks. And this is really scary. We could see the Claudette go out already, not getting much time at all to work on any generators, to do any altruistic things, or to even chase the killer. So, and we do see the Nancy though, the For the People, the broken status effect finally up. And that was a rather quick heal, which makes me think we might have a, inner healing play of sorts.
Inner healing with For the People is a very interesting combo to bring together. We do see the Nancy coming in for this pull. Oh, double save. These survivors wasting no time to run in. Spirit's choosing just to go for the trade. Unfortunately, gets another tag on the Nancy. You're going to need to get it down here quickly, otherwise they could lose all this pressure.
Yeah, for sure. And again, going after the Claudette to try to get them out of the game as fast as possible. That's a quick pallet drop, but that's unsafe, and gets the down finally. And unless we didn't see a DS happen earlier, we see it happen now. No, we're not going to see it. That's going to be a dead Claudette already at 3 gens. We see 3 hooks, and all of them onto the Claudette, away to the lobby. Once again, though, is it too little too late? All of the gens on the south side of the map, on the bottom side of the map, except for one next to Shaq, got finished. So as Spirit, knowing that, hey, I defended most of the gens up here, I need to come back and double check to make sure they're not breaking my 3 gen, right? As we see the generator right there start to regress a little bit, there's the ruin doing its magic for sure. Gets the hit out of phase very quickly. Again, starting and ending chases rather quickly. That's just one of the things that Spirit is so strong in, right?
If you notice, but with this strong 3 gen that they have by main, we saw something on fire over there. So we might have a possibly really strong setup over here by main. If this killer can get a hook nearby it, that would be huge for them.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to look to maybe get the hook on the other side of Gazebo. No, we're going to go towards this tile right here. So we're sort of towards the middle, right? But regardless, like you said, this regen is looking really strong. We have a gen, I believe, inside the main building, and we also have a gen on top right and top left sides of the map as well. So this will be an excellent regen for them to defend. And I don't know if you see the totem right there. The ruin is also there. So it's going to be a really good opportunity, you know, for the spirit to kind of just defend all of these resources, right? You know, the ruin and the gens for sure. As we get yet another down, try to get the firecracker, hopefully maybe to get the timing right. So where, you know, the spirit comes out of phase and you get the blind, that way you have to guess where to go. But didn't work on the timing, sadly, and gets a hit on the Nia also. And man, this spirit is just the tempo that they've set this game. I don't know if these survivors can retaliate.
This spirit is just goaded right now, tracking through the grass. Unfortunately, gets the whiff. Chops at the rock, trying to mine for some gold, I think.
Plus 10 stone, right? It's good old Minecraft, right? We're out here, but finally does get the down on to this Nia right here. And we're going to have to see if we see a pickup on the Nancy on the other side of the map.
Yeah, we do have this slug here. Be interesting to see if this Zarina here is on a gen or if they're stealthing or what their play is going to be here. You lots of choices here on our survivor side on what they can attempt to do here.
Yeah, especially that's like the thing, right? When losing a survivor so quickly, oh no, we do see it. We do see them. Oh no, and we don't see Arkin getting up as rather quickly as we'd like to. So maybe no unbreakable anymore. So this is gonna be really scary. And wow, yeah, after the pallet drop, you gotta guess where they're gonna go, right? And sadly, guess is wrong. Belonging to chase just a little bit. Will it be enough time though to reach the Nancy and maybe get a heal off, or are you gonna get this down rather quickly, right?
To see how the chase goes, if they're going to be able to get a pickup or an unhook before they go down. Ooh, we see some nodders here from our killer. You gotta love the nodders.
Yeah, you gotta respect the play, right? Like, we see the pallet drop, and most people are going to opt to, you know, maybe slow vault one side of the pallet, or, you know, not, or kind of just keep looping around. And you saw the pallet drop, and you saw them immediately break distance, right? And that's kind of like, you know, the counter strats, right? As opposed to, you know, any mind games that the spirit might try to do, right?
Absolutely. Huvelo is doing very strong right here, just trying to keep track of our Zarina, just trying to make sure that, you know, they have all the time in the world. They don't need to rush anything. They just need to make sure they make the right play and rotate and zone the survivor, which they do here. Will be a hook. I think this will be the end unless we see something to save these survivors, but I don't think there's anything left.
Yeah, if that Zarina was on first hook, maybe we could see a potential deliverance play or something like that, but we aren't going to see it, as we do see the Zarina go to second phase. And, you know, it's just at this point time to find you got to find the Nancy, right? Got to get them hooked so you can get all those points. And man, what a way to close out this game number 4, right?
Time is ticking. He needs to find that Nancy. He doesn't have that much time left.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong in terms of, you know, killer scoring. You know, if it's not end game, if it's not the end game collapse, I think I could be wrong. Depending on the corresponding hook, if you do get someone dead, it does depend on, you know, what hook stage they're on. But at the same time, you know, you just want to get the hook, right? You want to get the message across, right?
Absolutely a hook, because you don't get any points for a bleed out. You only get the previous hooks you've gotten on the survivor. So if it is a survivor with no hooks, which I think that's the case here, this survivor has no hooks so far. If they bleed out, that is no points for the killer, and that might make the difference here. I think 6. Actually, no. Nope. It doesn't matter either way. Found him at the last possible second.
Yeah, absolutely. We find him at the last second. We did see, you know, the person finally go into third stage as well, or finally get sacrificed as well. So that could have changed the point regardless. Anyways, and wow, what a BM right there. Putting them in front of the ruin by the neck, by the shirt. Like, look at this. This is something that helped me clutch the game.
This is where it was the whole entire time. Look, there it is. There it is. Stare at it. Stare at it while you die.
I'm telling you, just like the way the ruin got spotted, placed next in the 3-gen, it was huge. It was just so huge, to say the very least. Just the way, you know, you had the 3-gen on the top side of the map. You had it at 12, you had it at 1, you had it at 11, and you had ruin smack in the middle of it, and you know the spirit's defending it. Like, honestly, honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if even the best of teams could, break that 3-gen or find the ruin, in a field like that. Great stuff to 6, and I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that that's going to be the game on their side. Gonna take a 67-55 victory over AZL. What a great showing though from both sides.
Yeah, 6 has indeed been convicted of murder, as we do say here in the Vigo's court. Be interested to see if we have any interviews coming out, possibly.
Yeah, gotta bring them into the interrogation room, try to figure out their motives, try to figure out, why they decided to just do some bloody, vicious assault on these poor AZL survivors, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm not... See if we...
Yeah, I'm not really too sure. We'll have to see. If we do get someone in here, that will be awesome. But if not, that is totally okay. But, we're kind of just going to be waiting. If we do get someone in, then we'll get to talk to them a little bit. Kind of, I'm going to let Mantis kind of do the interrogation, the good cop, bad cop routine, I'm going to just let him be both, right? Cop. Do both. Just do both. You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
So I get to look like a crazy person, much like I do normally.
You ever seen the old Pink? You ever seen the Pink Panther movie with Steve Martin?
Oh, not in so long.
Oh man, the good cop, bad cop routine is working perfectly. Usually there's 2 different cops for that, and then he looks at him like, what? So that's you. You're the good cop and the bad cop. So there we go. So.
However, went on and looking like a crazy person, you could ask Team Arctic Wolves that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So, but again, regardless, for those of you who are just tuning in, sadly, you guys missed an amazing set between AZL and 6. 6 pulling out the Spirit on their home turf. Kind of just the deciding factor. Showed a clinic on how to start end chases very quickly with Spirit. The decision making, the mind games, at loops. We did see some stuff come from AZL as well, though. Did see, certain, we did see certain situations where we saw the pallet drop right from AZL, and we saw them just W key away, right? And that's something that 6 wasn't really looking to, to capitalize on. However, it was regardless still a good time for 6, as they did get the dub right there. So, and yeah, as we get ready, to wrap up, we do have a situation. We are going to introduce you guys into the interrogation room. We have, tell me how you pronounce your name one more time. I'm sorry, I got it wrong earlier, I think, but
you can
let
call
us
me
know.
Gabriel. It's easier. You can call me Gabriel.
Gabriel?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. It's been a good time. Everybody, we're really excited. I know Mantis has probably a couple questions to ask, and at the end I might say something, but take it away, Mantis, into the interrogation room.
Absolutely. I was personally going into this trial thinking Spirit might be the play here. You already used the nurse, so that's not an option. And Blight, while he has some objects in this map that are very good for him, he has a lot that are very bad for him. So I was thinking Spirit was coming in possibly due to the tracking ability of all the grass on this map. Was that something you were thinking of, or was it something else?
That's probably my favorite map to play Spirit on because of the grass. It's everywhere. I can hear it pretty clearly. That's why I picked this Spirit.
Definitely a strong map for headphone users, I'll say that for sure.
And also, like the pallets are very small. It's not really a 50-50. It's way more for the Spirit. So it's pretty easy map in my opinion.
Definitely for sure. And how were you feeling going into this trial, knowing that AZL was, took a decent lead after the 3rd trial as they came back from that first trial?
Actually, like with that block allowed, I knew if I had a good down early, that the game would be over because there's a lot of 3-gens in this map. And yeah, if I get a down near the main, the game is over. That's why I was pretty confident, to be fair.
Yeah, I bet you were really excited when you saw that 3-gen by main with your Ruin sitting there the whole game.
Yeah. I won't lie, that's true.
I definitely would be excited if that was me if I saw that in my game, so I completely understand that.
Yeah, that was pretty lucky, I won't lie to you.
Well, that's part of the game, you get the RNG of the spawns, and sometimes it works for you, sometimes it don't. That's the risk you play, but no matter what, you always have the benefit of Ruin, just the survivors wasting time finding it and cleansing it at a minimum always, so that always, you need to not neglect that. Even if you don't get a lot of regression with your Ruin, you could always just get time wasting in that regard.
That's true. And also, I think that block was pretty MVP there, in my opinion. It's a pretty busted perk as well.
It definitely is a strong program. It does have counterplay that if a Survivor team knows how to play around it properly, they won't
True.
provide too much value at the same
But
time.
but it won't have like many counterplay if Ruin is up. That's to the point. You can't 99 it. It's over.
Yep.
Like,
If you can't find Ruin, then you can't 99 the gen, so you can't do the counter to Deadlock. So if you can't get it, then you are correct. It is hard to do that. But I was also curious, how does your team feel about approaching this new season of Vigo's Court after last season?
I guess they're liking it. They are pretty excited to play on it, honestly. I feel like it, yeah. Probably their favorite tournament.
Glad to hear that. We're glad to have you back here. We're looking to grow the community here stronger and stronger every season.
I have one question, actually, considering, just because we did talk. Okay, I have a few, but I have to, talking about how you're enjoying the new season of Vigos. How do you feel about having the map variety at the split, right? Being able to play on both home maps in terms of only one map for the set. How did that make you guys feel, knowing that you guys were able to come back to family residence for the second half?
Actually, I think it's harder to balance if it's that way, but it's more fun in my opinion. It's more variety, so it's different from any other tourney. I like it, honestly, but that's the down point. It's pretty hard to balance. That's my opinion, but
yeah, for sure, absolutely. And once again, great job as always. Again, that spirit, honestly, as personally someone that is relatively new to the comp DVD scene, especially to Vigos, it was really nice to to see the exhibitions that you guys put out with these S tier killers. Just the way, boom, 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 quick downs, quick hooks. Got someone out of the game really quickly, and again got some the RNG gods a little bit on your side, right, with the main Golding 3 gen and the Ruin as well once again. But regardless, what a great stuff from you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys are going to do the rest. Go as we go into the full-on season 3 as well. So
wish us good luck, honestly. I think we can go far.
Good luck to you too, especially to you as the killer main and your other fellow killer mains, because I'm gonna find it very interesting to see how you guys handle that map with your killer pool availabilities, because there's gonna be several killers you just can't even play on that map. So I'm gonna be curious to see how you guys handle it.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm out of questions. Mantis, you got anything else?
Nah, I'm good. We gotta call it out because we have a game, I do believe, at 6 o'clock. I could be wrong on that.
I believe so.
It'll be a Septis game between Septis and Swamp, so you guys definitely are going to want to check that out around 6 o'clock, I believe. So come back around, check it out. I do believe we're going to be ending it on that note here. I am your judge, Psycho Mantis, joined by my friend over here,
SSB Kid, as well as the suspect in our interrogation room, Gabriel. Thank you so much again, once again. Great job, and best of luck to you in the next season coming.
Thank you, and exact same to you. Good luck, guys.
I think we're going to be ending it on that. So where can they find you, actually, SSB Kid, if they wanted to check you out?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys like Twitter, you can find me at Twitter at @NotSSBKid, all one word, no spaces, no hyphens, no underscores or anything like that. If you guys just tweet at me and tell me, hey, you're new and your commentary sucks, just go ahead and tell me that. That's totally cool. I don't mind. Regardless, though, if you guys want to find me there, that's where you can find me. What about you, Mantis?
To find me, it's twitch.tv/psycho_mantis, or you can catch me on the bench anytime Arctic Wolves plays until they have a good game with Nemesis or something like that. That's fun that I get to play.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right. So
once again, thank you so much again for everything. Chat, I hope you guys enjoyed these games, and we'll be back pretty soon, hopefully with the 6 o'clock game. So again, I'm SSB Kid, and joined again with us is the one and only Psycho Mantis. You guys have a good one on my end.
That was a missed decisive strike. So before the first gen even pops.
And we do see Deathwish convicted of murder here, as you can see by the score to the final set.